Do you want to grow your own fresh live microgreens like this in 7 days? In this video, we're going to walk you through step by step the complete growing process for growing Oriental mustard microgreens just like these in 7 days with minimal maintenance. And stick till the very end, where I will reveal a secret tip that you can do in the very beginning of your microgreen planting process that will completely eliminate mold. Hi, I'm Connor Hebel, founder of Island Microgreens, a teen entrepreneur on a mission to make the world an even better place by empowering people to grow their own health in 7 days with microgreens. In this step-by-step tutorial, I'll show you exactly how to grow Oriental mustard microgreens from start to finish. No fancy gear, just real results. Perfect for beginners or home growers ready to grow their own microgreens right at home. So today we're using a microgreen grow kit from Island Microgreens. And so let's talk about what's in this kit. You have your variety of seeds, everything from broccoli, Oriental mustard, which is the cousin of wasabi, which is what we're going to be growing today, to brown mustard, turnip, and a salad mix. The salad mix is super delicious. It's a great mix to add into your salads, soups, smoothies, anything you can think of. So you'll have the seeds, and on your seed packet, there's a little QR code that'll take you to a video on how to grow your microgreens right at home. Then you have your grow trays. The reason why we have a 2-tier tray like we're showing you here is because when you have a 2-tier tray like this, it significantly reduces mold because you put the grow medium on top like we'll show you in a minute. And once you do that, then you're able to water underneath. Because, for example, when you pour water on top of here, what likes cool, dark, and humid places? Mold. So if you don't have a 2-tier tray like this, your risk of mold goes significantly up. Then we have the grow medium. Our personal favorite is Coco Coir. Coco Coir is a sterilized coconut husk, so there's no eruptions of bugs because it's been completely sterilized. And when you're growing microgreens, you don't need any nutrition in the soil itself because the nutrition's coming from the seed. So it's completely okay that it's sterilized, makes it so much easier, more cleanly, and it's really great. And with the soil, just follow the instructions on the soil puck like you're seeing here, or just go ahead and watch this video, read the instructions. We also have the thank you card, germination trackers, which will tell you when to water, and then a pH test strip that will help you find the pH balance in your water. And why that is so important is because it's a scale that goes from acidic to alkaline. And you want to find the place on that scale that is beneficial for what you're growing. So for example, with microgreens, it's about 6.5 to 7.5. And all of us have our own pH scale, so it's really powerful. It makes the microgreen growing process so much easier. Then you have your spray bottle, which you'll use for the first 3 days of misting your microgreens. You'll want to have a light source. And I think a lot of people hesitate when they start growing microgreens because do I need to have this big setup with these fancy grow racks and artificial lighting and all of that? And the quick answer is no. When you are starting out, you do not need any of that. All you need is the trays, the seeds, the soil, some water, and just a window. It can be ambient light. It does not have to be direct sunlight. And in one of my videos, which I'll share right here, I will go more in depth on how to find the right space for growing your microgreens. But in the short answer, just use a window. You don't need a lot of light. In fact, indirect sunlight is perfect. If you really want to grow with a grow light, an LED shop light, which it's not super expensive to get one, do not let that stop you from growing your microgreens. In fact, the Oriental mustard microgreens we're growing today, I am using the window for. So they are completely fine using the window. The one thing that I will mention when you use a window is that sometimes you'll find that your microgreens are going to grow to that angle. So for example, my light source is over here. So my microgreens tend to go that direction. What I would do if I'm noticing that they're going that direction is I just simply turn it around and then they'll start growing that direction. So that way you can make them go straight. Whereas if you just leave them at that one angle, then they'll just kind of be at an angle, which is okay. It's not going to be too big of a deal. One of the things that having a grow light can help with is that you don't have to manually turn your microgreens. And sometimes they can be a little bit leggy without quite as much of a leaf, which sometimes happens with growing with a window. Like for example, with this one, there isn't a big leaf, but you still get the amazing benefits of microgreens. So now with that out of the way, let's dive into growing your microgreens at home. So the first thing you're going to want to do is take everything out of your box, get your tray and your soil and your seed pack. So for this one, we're going with Oriental mustard microgreens. Super simple. Once you have that, go ahead and get your pH test strip and get some water. You'll want a couple cups of water. I just put it into a container like this because it's easier. You just slightly dip your pH test strip into the water for like 1 second, pull it out, and then use your instructions and find where on the pH scale your microgreens are. You want about a 6.5 to 7.5 on the pH scale. Fortunately, the water that we're using today is already on the pH scale. And if you find that your water is immediately on the pH scale, you don't need to do this ever again. However, if you find that you're more acidic or more alkaline, then what you'll want to do is use either lemon or baking soda. And in your instructions, we go more in depth on how to do that, so just go ahead and use that. It's pretty simple to test this and refine it. Another thing to note here, you want to make sure that you have high quality water. We recommend using filtered water, especially don't use tap water. Make sure that it's high quality water because it will be absorbed into the plant and it's better for you and for your microgreens. So now that we have that, let's go ahead and hydrate our grow medium. So with a Coco Coir puck, there's a couple key things with this. Coco Coir expands about 8 times its size when it's been compressed. So imagine one of those washcloths that you pour water on and it expands. That's what this is going to be like. What you want to do is make sure that your water is warm. When it is warm, it's going to expand that Coco Coir puck significantly faster. If it is cold water, it is going to be very hard to grow and expand this Coco Coir puck. So I recommend leaving the water outside of the fridge. You can even heat it up using a tea kettle or on the stove. That'll speed up the process a lot. Once you do that, then go ahead and pour some of that water onto your Coco Coir puck. You want to pour just a little, you don't want to pour a ton, and you can see it expand. It is such a cool experience. And as it expands, you can go ahead and just pull some of that Coco Coir off and pour more water on. And what you want is you want to get it to a texture of a soil, and you'll start to feel that as you go along. It gets more soily, it's not super clumpy. And now that your Coco Coir has been hydrated, let's go ahead and place it on your grow tray. Super simple, you just want to spread it as evenly as you can across your tray. And you don't want to have a bunch of clumps. You want to make sure that it's pretty flat. You don't want to press super hard down on your soil though, because you want to make sure that the roots can grow down. And if you compress it too tightly, then your roots may not be able to. Make sure you get the edges and get everywhere you can. Essentially what this soil is used for is to make sure that your seeds don't fall down into the tray. There's a video right here that talks even more in depth on the different types of soil and the benefits, because all sorts of soil have their pros and cons, and so go ahead and learn more about that. Now that we have the soil, we're going to add the Oriental mustard seeds on. And this is really simple. What you do, you open that bag, or if you're DIYing it, you'll have to measure and get all the stuff. Once you open the bag, go ahead and just pour it into your hand. And you'll want to find the way that you like to spread your seeds across. I give a few examples as I'm spreading the seeds across. You'll see I move from different hand positions. Find the one that works the best for you. The goal here is you want to make sure you spread your microgreen seeds as evenly as possible. If there are a lot of clumps in one area, what'll happen is that those clumps will start to cause mold because it's grown so densely that there isn't enough airflow, and that is really a big problem. So make sure you grow it as evenly as possible, getting the edges, and if you find that there's a spot that has a lot of seeds, use your finger and just kind of push it around, making sure that they're spread out even more. So now that you have your seeds, your soil down, you are almost done. There's only a couple more small steps for today. And that is to go ahead and take your spray bottle, pour some of that water in, and go ahead and mist your soil and your seeds. This is called germination. What this stage is going to do is it's going to wake up the seeds and tell it, hey, it's time to start growing. This is a really important stage. It's the only time that you're going to be spraying your microgreens. After the 3 days are up, no more spraying your microgreens, and we'll move to a different form of watering. So now that you've watered the soil and the seeds, go ahead and get the tinfoil out. And with this, you can use tinfoil, you can use a dark space like a closet, or you can use a towel. I personally recommend tinfoil because it's easy to spray water on, it keeps it humid, and it's really great for microgreen growing. So go ahead and put that on, then get your spray bottle and mist underneath the tinfoil. And this is gonna create a humidity dome, which is really good right now. Oh, and I forgot to mention, that big tip that I was mentioning earlier on, get some cinnamon. Cinnamon is naturally antibacterial and it's really great at reducing your risk of mold. So go ahead and just mix it into your soil and it makes such a huge difference. In this video, I forgot to do it while I had the Coco Coir puck expanding. So I just went ahead and I put it on top, and I recommend going ahead and putting the cinnamon in and mixing it into the soil. That way it's all evenly spread across. But if you forget and you're at this stage, you might as well do it. It's gonna make a huge difference. I've had a comparison where I compared one tray of microgreens and another tray of microgreens. One had the cinnamon, one didn't. The one that did have the cinnamon was completely fine, whereas the other one molded. So having the cinnamon makes a huge difference. All right, so now that you have this humidity dome, you're ready to go. Now all you need to do, take out that germination tracker, write what kind of seeds you planted, and go ahead and check off today. You'll notice that today's already checked off for the first set of boxes. Why we have 2 sets of boxes on here is because if you're living in a dry climate such as Nevada or Arizona or somewhere like that, you'll want to water twice a day. Because when it's dry, then it's not as humid, and that reduces the humidity in your humidity dome. So you want to make sure that you're getting enough humidity in there. If you live in a humid place like, for example, Florida, then you'll only need to water once a day. And this is really important because when it's humid like this, then you don't have to worry about it drying up. So once a day is better. If you do happen to live in a dry area and you only mist once a day, you'll be fine. However, it does make a difference, and just go ahead and check off where you are. And you'll notice that there's only 3 boxes here. That is because at the day 3, that's when you're gonna wanna take it out of germination. So this is a good way to track what day you're on. All right, welcome to day 2. Day 2 is gonna be super simple. All you need to do is lift up that tinfoil, mist underneath, mist the seeds, and you're good to go. Then just go ahead and check off that you watered it today, and that's all. That's what it's gonna be like for the next 6 days. Super simple. All right, day 3. It is the same exact thing. You're gonna go ahead and mist underneath the seeds and soil, and you're good to go. All right, day 4. We're gonna take off that tin foil, and now we're gonna do something completely different. We're gonna go ahead and get that water container. When we have that, we're gonna go ahead and lift up our microgreens, put a little bit of water in there, and put it back down. Super easy. And why we do this is because now we're gonna start to have the microgreens grown super densely, and they're not gonna be able to handle the spray bottle like we were before because there's gonna be a higher risk of mold. And now once we have this, we only water once a day. So super simple. And once you've watered, come back 10 minutes later, check underneath the 2 trays and make sure that all the water's gone. With microgreens, you don't want to make it so that it's hydroponics, where there's water on it constantly. If you do that, you're gonna run the risk of a thing called root rot. And root rot is not good for your roots. Be sure to check about 15 minutes after you watered your microgreens. And if there is some water there, just go ahead and pour it off. If this is the kind of simple, no fluff growing advice that you love, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the ring bell. I've got more pro tips coming up every single week. And if you're ready to grow your microgreens in 7 days, go to ameliaislandmicrogreens.com/101 for a free 10-part microgreen masterclass that will take you from microgreen beginner to microgreen grower. I've been growing microgreens for 14 years. Yes, ever since I was 7 years old, I've been growing microgreens. And I want to teach you the things that I wish I had known. So go to ameliaislandmicrogreens.com/101. All right, it is day 5. You only have 3 more days until you can enjoy your fresh live microgreens. So now, same thing. Just go ahead and put a little bit of water, about a cup of water, underneath those 2 trays, and you're ready to go. It's super cool to see how much it's grown just in this short period of time. I love watching microgreens grow because they grow so fast. All right, it is day 6. It is so close to being able to harvest. And in fact, if you're like, I just need to eat my microgreens right now, there's a good chance you can already start to harvest them. I recommend waiting till day 7 because they are going to get a bit taller. However, if you really want to eat them, you can. I've been known to do that a couple times. So go ahead and put the water in, put it next to that window, come back tomorrow. All right, it is the last day. It is day 7. You are now able to eat your microgreens. Go ahead and put some water into your tray. And then what I personally recommend is just go ahead and harvest what you want to eat that day. Don't harvest it all. And the reason is you can let it continue growing. And when you do that, you have another 7 to 14 days to eat off of your microgreens, which when you harvest them, they're already starting to degrade. So you won't have as long to eat them, and they're not going to be fresh and live. So I highly recommend keeping them live. And you can watch this video right here where I dive even more deeply into whether to store them now or store them later. And when you watch that video, you'll learn how to keep your microgreens stored and fresh for 21 days. All right, so harvesting is super simple. You just take your scissors or a sharp knife and just go right between the stem and the soil. Try and get as much of the stem as you can. And the cool thing is, if you end up having some of the soil in there, don't worry, it's just gonna taste a little funny, but it's not gonna be harmful at all. It's just a coconut husk. So now once you've harvested your microgreens, you're gonna have the thing called root carpet. And that's your soil and your roots. And what you can do with this is you can either throw it away, put it in the compost, put it in your garden and see if it grows again. And I'll tell you a little secret. If you have someone who has chickens, give them the root carpet and usually they'll give you eggs. And with egg prices today, that is a really great deal. It's what I used to do when I was growing microgreens for other restaurants, so highly recommend that. So if you've ever had patchy trays or slow germination, hit that like button. You're not alone. And this method with cinnamon and using a 2-tier tray reduces 90% of early growth issues. And if you're still having challenges, comment below and maybe there's some solution we can find. Usually it's between the tray, the seeds, and not having the cinnamon. And if you're ready to grow your microgreens in 7 days, go to ameliaislandmicrogreens.com/101 for a free 10-part microgreen masterclass that will take you from microgreen beginner to microgreen grower. I've been growing microgreens for 14 years. Yes, ever since I was 7 years old, I've been growing microgreens. And I want to teach you the things that I wish I had known when I started so you can learn from my mistakes so that you can grow easily and effortlessly your fresh live microgreens in 7 days right at home on your kitchen counter. It is super easy, so go ahead and go to ameliaislandmicrogreens.com/101 for your free microgreen masterclass today. So now that you've got that full healthy tray of Oriental mustard microgreens, what do you do with them? Let's talk about how to harvest and store microgreens the right way so they stay fresh and crisp. Click the link in the description to grab your free microgreen masterclass at ameliaislandmicrogreens.com/101. So now the next challenge. Harvesting and storing your microgreens the right way. And yes, there is a right way. And this is exactly what I'll help you with in the next video. So click right here and I'll see you there. As always, stay awesome.